Gary,
Hello.
NOS4A2. Welcome to Christmas Land, Gary.
I want to drink your blood.
It's all with Marchese and Buller. It's all with Marchese and Buller.
Welcome to the late show with me, Gary Buller, and my co-host William Jason Marchese. Today we're going to talk about the new AMC series, NOS4A2. I'm not sure where you're at in the United States with it. We're not going to be getting it over in England till I think it's August. I've heard great things about it. Heard a lot about the first episode. American friends have spoken to me and told me a lot about it. I was kind of interested to know, one, Will, have you seen the first episode? And two, what did you think of it?
I saw the first episode. So far, it's good. They deviate a bit from the book, but for the most part, it's accurate. A lot of the visuals are point on with the novel. There's a few things though, like Charlie Manx. I believe the character that's with him when he kidnaps the boy in the beginning, because this is obviously not a spoiler. He kidnaps his first boy, and he's taken him. The guy with him, I believe that's a guy named Bing. From the novel.
That sounds right, yeah.
He kills the guy in the beginning. And I know Bing stays with him in the story throughout. So I don't know if they're going to kind of change things around so they can lengthen the story and make it into multiple seasons. But from what I've seen so far, it's accurate, but there's a lot of timeline things that are not the same as the novel.
Yeah, I think they probably will. I get the impression that it's going to deviate a little bit. You have to in an AMC series. It's got to have the potential to spill over into a second season and maybe even a third season. There has to be a bit of backstory behind it. What I've seen of Charlie Manx, the prosthetics put me off a little bit at first. Yeah. In the story, his age varies. He gets younger and older. And
as he gets the boy's energies. And
and I kind of thought, when I first saw the pictures of him and stuff, I was like, you look a little bit prosthetic-y. And it's not obvious, the actor that plays him is a guy out of the American Horror Story. He's a psychologist in the second series.
Oh, okay.
I recognise his face. He's a great actor, don't get me wrong, but the prosthetics kind of put me off a little bit.
And the things he says in the beginning, too, are a little cheesy. Like when he has the boy in the back, he lured him into the Wraith.
Rolls-Royce Wraith.
Yeah, and he's got him in there with all the presents, and that was accurate to the story and everything, the feel at least, and the visuals. And the boy gets in, and he's talking to him, but he's talking to him like, we're going to go to Christmas Land and have so much fun. And it's like, don't get me wrong, and he didn't say that verbatim, but, something like that. Yeah. But then again, like I said, like with most horror movies, you got those cheesy points, but then it goes back on tracks again, where as they're driving to Christmas Land, which they do capture that length of time that it takes to get to Christmas Land. I remember the novel, it's not a quick trip. So they are capturing that feel. In the book, Vic is an older woman, I believe. It starts, and then she's remembering the past, and then she sees that girl who plays with the Scrabble pieces. In the book, they explain how she puts her hand into the bag and she's feeling around for everything. But in the show, which I like, her hand kind of disappears into this bag, and you're like, okay, I get what they're trying to do with that, without having to go into the whole thing. Which they probably will in one episode. They kind of meet each other at some point, and she tells her about the Wraith and everything. Vic later on has her son taken, and she has to go and use that bridge to get to Christmas Land to rescue her son.
Yeah. I believe in the series it's done slightly differently. It's not her son. I think it's like the son of a friend or something. For those who don't, sort of take a step back, for those who don't know, NOS4A2 is a story written by Joe Hill. It came out, about I want to say 2010, 11 or something.
2013.
Maybe a little bit late. Was it 2013? And Joe Hill is the son of Stephen King. He tried to make it as a writer without his dad's name, hence why he's called Joe Hill. Joe Hill Strum King. So that said, you got to admire him, but on the other side of the coin, he's got the best teacher in the world sat potentially editing his manuscripts and helping him write. So he's got a pretty good teacher there to despite being this anonymous writer who just so happened to make it. But Nosferatu was, I think, his third book behind. I think, there was Heart-Shaped Box, his first novel, then Horns, and I think Nosferatu came after that, and he had another collection called 20th Century Ghosts. Nosferatu is his third novel, and it takes place in a world where people have this ability, these people called creatives. There's very few of them in the world, but they have this ability to do special things. And the main character in the story, Vic McQueen, has this ability. When she's riding on a motorcycle, she can use this old covered bridge, which I think it might be symbolic, but it was demolished years and years ago, but she can still see it, and she can use it to travel anywhere she wants to go when she's trying to find something that's been lost. But there are other creatives out there, and some of them aren't so nice. One of them is her friend. I can't remember what she's called now, but she has the ability to reach into her Scrabble bag, as Will described, and she can ask a question, and the Scrabble tiles that she removes give her the answer. Another one is a guy called Charlie Manx, the third. He's the bad guy in Nosferatu. He has the ability to create his own inescape, which is this reality that exists more or less within him. But in order to sort of travel to and from this inescape, and in order to live forever in it, he has to kidnap children, and he has to get them in the back of his Rolls Royce Wraith, which is basically an embodiment of him. And he uses their souls as fuel for both the Wraith and for his regeneration. And you have these three characters, and they come together, and Charlie Manx sees Vic as a very useful character because she can travel from here to there in a heartbeat, which is something that he can't do. Later on, he also sees her as a bit of a threat. And it's all about the Nosferatu is a play on the vampire thing, the number plate, which I thought was really cheesy, actually. When Lisa first bought me the book,
I kind of like that. It was like his take on it. It was like he was refreshing vampires.
I get it, but why would a vampire have a Nosferatu as a number plate?
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah,
that's how it was like.
But Nosferatu was out by then, no? Like he would have known who that was, and maybe he thinks of himself as a vampire.
Oh, possibly.
It sort of reminded me of that movie Jeepers Creepers with the Be Eating You.
Oh yeah. The book is fantastic, really clever.
Yeah.
Christmas Land in the book, I believe, from the bits and bobs I gather from the series, the Christmas Land that they present in the book is much scarier than the one that I believe is presented on the screen. The children in it, because
it seems more real. It seems realistic.
From what I understand, they represent Christmas Land quite well. There's the moon, which is Charlie Manx's face, and it's really creepy. And watch it. Also,
there was a part where I read somewhere that there's like an alternate ending to the book, but I don't know if that's accurate. But you said that you heard somewhere that the ending was a little different than the book, so maybe they're using an alternate ending or something. Or maybe they're trying to, like I said, make the series expand.
That kind of makes sense. The ending of the book is quite final. I don't know how you'd come back from the ending that Joe Hill portrays in the series. If I was AMC, I'd want to make many series of it.
Yeah.
And by just destroying Charlie Manx at the end of it, where are you going to go if it becomes a success? I can't wait to see the series. I'm really stoked for it.
I don't know why they do that. That really makes no freaking sense to me. Like, you would have to wait till August. That's months away. And you're going to hear about it, And then Joe Hill's like advertising it on Twitter. What about all the people that are his English fans going, man?
I know, absolutely. But you know what? I grew up in an era where you guys got, like, Gremlins 2, like, I think it was about a year before we saw it.
What?
It was years ago. It was ridiculous. The Americans always got the movies before we did. Like,
wow.
By months, you used to get a lot of pirated videos and stuff when we were kids, and that, you get tape.
It kind of forces you to freaking do that,
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, because you couldn't see these films, So, But yeah, now it's a lot better. We like Game of Thrones is shown more or less on the same night at the same time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
these
Certain
days.
things are
So-
it's time sensitive. But let's go to part 2, Gary.
Oh, very nice. I'm a huge Joe Hill fan. I've met the guy 3 times. Each time I've had a long conversation with him. I really admire him. One of my favourite writers. And I've got a few bits and bobs, collectibles and things that I've got. Books, mostly books.
Gary, you said you have some Joe Hill stuff you want to show us.
I do.
Because we're probably going to copy him when we put the show out.
We might recognise some of the stuff he's actually signed.
He might recognize you because he hugged you, remember?
He might do. It's maybe 3 times. 10 episodes of fun, no doubt. But I kind of thought I've got a few things, just books and stuff that I thought might be interesting for those sort of literary listeners and watchers out there.
Let's see these books, Gary.
Let's see them. Do you want to see them? One of the first ones I've got here is, if you guys can see that,
Ooh.
it is an exclusive preview of The Fireman.
Oh, I was about to say, I thought it was the actual novel because I have the novel.
No, I've got that down here as well, but
Oh wow!
I'll show you the difference in a minute. But this was given to me in 2015 when I first met Joe.
Oh wow!
There's a publisher over here called Galanx who publish horror and speculative fiction and sci-fi, and they did a bit of a literary event at the Waterstones Library in Manchester. My first meeting with Joe, and it was quite memorable. Really, a few things I take away from it is that he had a dinosaur pencil case in which he kept all of his pencils, and it had like little cartoon dinosaurs on it.
Yeah.
He did a bit of a Q&A, and then afterwards we spilled out into like the foyer to get things signed, and it was me and my other half, Lisa, and we were kind of waiting to see him, and a lady came up to us and she said, "Oh, who are you here to see?" And we're like, "Oh, we want to get something signed by Joe Hill." And she said, "Oh, you're in the wrong queue. You're in the queue for like..." And it was one of the science fiction writers there, was pretty big. I can't remember who it was, to be honest, which is pretty bad because now having been in the writing industry for a little bit longer, I definitely probably know who he is.
Yeah.
And anyway, Joe's just over in the corner over there, she said, and he was on his own and no one was talking to him or anything. So me and Lisa went over to him. We had a good 10-minute chat, and I've got some photos, a few of which Will kind of shows, I think, in the introduction to the show.
I can show them here too.
Yeah, I can send them over to you. I had a long conversation with him, and the fireman wasn't quite out by that point, but he gave me this. It's an exclusive introduction to the story. It's got like a bit of an introduction by J.K. Rowling in it, and it's got the prologue of the fireman in it. And as you can see, he's signed it 2015. And this is something he didn't do the last time I saw him, because maybe he's getting more popular or busier. He kind of draws little doodles, and I'll show you on the other
Looks like fire.
books.
Yeah,
it's fire, the fireman, and he signed that for me. So that was the first time I met him. At that time as well, we were talking about it in the last episode. He signed this for me.
Ooh.
Which
that's nice.
It's a Christmas edition of NOS4A2.
Yeah, that's nice.
This is my first ever introduction to Joe Hill, and I've got Lisa, my significant other, to thank for this. I hadn't even heard of him when I got this book. She bought it me one Christmas time, and she said, "Oh, a friend at work reliably tells me that this guy is Stephen King's son, and this is like a limited edition version of this particular book, and it says Christmas horror story on it and stuff." But
is that hardcover or soft cover?
It's a soft cover.
Okay.
But it's illustrated and stuff, and if you look, he's signed it to Gary Best Joe Hill, and he's also doodled Charles Manx on there.
Yeah.
Really, really cool.
Nice.
And there's a nice list there as well. But it's really, really cool. It's kind of illustrated, and it's got some lovely little drawings in it. I'm quite fond of this. This is like, and Joe actually himself, when he saw it, he said, "Oh my God, that's like the limited blah-de-blah version." And I was like, "Oh, really, is it?" And he was like, "Yeah. I don't see this one very often." So, I'm very, very proud of having that. That's the first ever book I got of Joe Hill. I've got Lisa to thank for it. The second time I met Joe was on his tour for The Fireman. Now, when you go and see Joe, he puts a real show on. He's really entertaining, a bit like his dad. He looks a lot like Stephen King was when he was younger. And the second time I saw him was again in Manchester, and he did a beer and a book session. So you turn up and you get a free beer as part of the entry fee, and you get a free copy of the book. Now, I say free, it costs like £20 to get in or something. So that sort of covers the cost of the book and the beer anyway.
Yeah.
But this was on the release of Fireman, which is, a few you guys know might be, it's influenced by Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit, is it 1408 Fahrenheit? Not my favourite Joe Hill book, but not necessarily my least favourite. I think Horns is kind of my least favourite. I believe when he was writing Horns, he was having a lot of problems. He was getting a divorce, and I just found it a little bit weird. And there was a few passages in the book which I won't go into, but kind of took me out of the story a little bit. I found it a difficult read. This isn't a difficult read, but it's not a horror story by any means. But it's got some lovely, sad scenes. Because it's like a post-apocalyptic type thing.
Yeah, it's sort of on the line of The Stand, like his father's story, The Stand.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I have the hardcover too. Too bad I don't have it on me, but it looks different than that. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, and he's kind of signed that as well.
Oh, man.
Gary, warmest underlined wishes. Kind of a pun there, you know?
Yeah.
Warmest wishes, Joe Hill.
Oh, man.
Which is really cool. And whilst I was there, he handed out, I don't know if I've got him here actually. Whilst we were there, for a laugh, he had us do a sing-along. I don't know why. But within the book, there's a scene where they have a bit of a sing-along, and he's a bit of an Anglophile, Joe Hill. He loves England, and he's very, he's really interested in the culture. He's very knowledgeable. When you read some of the stuff on Twitter, you can tell he knows about England and the culture and stuff, as someone who's obviously English. But he told us not to take these, but I did. It's a copy of the campfire song from the scene in the book. It's sung to the tune of Hey Jude by the Beatles. And it's like, hey you, don't start to cry. If you fry now, it will be a pity if you turn into a heap, 'cause it's my turn to sweep and take out the ashes. We had to sing along to this at the beer and a book session. Obviously, we'd had a beer by then, so it was a little bit easier. But I kind of kept that, and he's got like a chim chim cheree on the back as well, because there's a reference to Mary Poppins in the story as well. And I got a load of. He handed us a load of bookmarks as well, Fireman bookmarks, which I've kind of kept hold of. I was saying to you before the show, actually just harking back a little bit to NOS4A2, he's got a comic book, a hardback comic book called Wraith, which is based on the NOS4A2 universe. I have it somewhere. I can't find it for the life of me. I've been up in my attic and everything. I hope I haven't lent it to someone and they've not given it me back. But yeah, I've got that as well somewhere. I'm sure I've got that signed as well.
Yeah, they would too. I read about that. That they took that out of the novel.
Yeah. So
this,
have I got this signed? Yes, I have. This is my favourite Joe Hill book. It's his short story collection. He's since done a collection of novellas, which I'll show you in a second, called Strange Weather. But this is his first collection of short stories, and I think this is kind of one of my most influential things in terms of the short story scene that I write. One of my favourite stories is My Father's Mask.
I think I have that one in hardcover too.
Yeah.
Mine is like a little black book, and I think it's got like this kind of film reel.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that's the one. I guess that's the American version of it.
Yeah, I've got this one signed as well. So this one is signed it, Joe Hill, and he's done a little ghost on it. He doesn't do this anymore. Well, he didn't the last time I saw him anyway.
Because he's probably got too many people lined up now.
Yeah, these doodles are actually quite popular. I bought this at his desk when I saw him the first time, when I got the NOS4A2 one signed. It cost me like £8 or something extra, but my favourite book, and I'd already owned it in audio form anyway, so I really wanted to get like the paperback of it.
Nice.
So he signed that. This is the last time I met Joe. This was in Leeds in England, over in Yorkshire. This is his collection of novellas called Strange Weather. Bit hit and miss. I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would. The Q&A was really fun. He did his usual entertaining, and he he cracked a few jokes, and the guy who was with him in the bookstore, is another Waterstones bookstore over in Leeds. He looked just like Will, and I sent a picture to Will at the time saying it looked like you.
Well, I see also in the top there, it's George R.R. Martin did a little one of those things.
Yeah, original and gripping, it says.
Wow.
Page, I've got it signed. Don't know if you can kind of see there. Gary, best wishes, Joe Hill.
Nice.
So it's still actually, I've got the slipcover there, still sort of bookmarking the page where I signed it. Had a really good experience. He was a little bit busier on this one. There was more people. It felt a little bit less intimate, but I think it's just a popularity thing. These ones are not signed, but I've got his Tales from the Dark Side comic books as well. I've got all of those individually, which are really cool. Sort of really weird front covers to them. And, which he was heavily involved in. Lisa bought this for Christmas. Tales from the Dark Side, which is what those comic books are. This is what the script would have been like if it had been made. So they were thinking of doing he was going to do another TV series called Tales from the Dark Side, and he did the scripts for it, but it never made it past the pilot, and we never actually got to see it.
Yeah.
So this is signed as well by him. Got the front page signed there.
Nice.
That's his collection of weird and wonderful stuff. It was going to be like a new Twilight Zone, I suppose, or a new Tales from the Crypt. And it's a script, so I've not actually read this.
Tales from the Dark Side is a show that used to be on.
Yeah, I think he was reviving it.
Okay.
And as you can kind of see, it's sort of illustrated, and it's just literally script. So I've not read it. I didn't even know this existed, so I was really pleased when I got it for Christmas. Just a little random one, Lock and Key.
Okay, yeah, that's the novella.
Yeah, this is a colouring book.
Not the novella, so the comic.
Yeah, so it's like a colouring book that I got. So a friend of mine bought me because he knew I was really into Joe Hill, and so I got this weird little colouring book. And not to bore you, but I've also got this one's not signed, but I've got Joe Hill. It's my biggest book actually. It's huge. It weighs a ton. Joe Hill, the graphic novel collection.
Oh wow! Oh, graphic novels. That's the thing.
Yeah. So in here there's like just loads of sort of graphic novels.
Oh, nice.
Based on the Cape. There's a few from Wraith actually in there. There's like you can kind of see.
The Christmas Land.
The Christmas Land thing at the bottom there. There and there's the Cape, which is there, and it's pretty good. And last but not means least is this, which I got imported from the States, which is his latest short story, Dark Carousel. It's one of the first LP stories, so it came on 2 long play vinyls, and you also get the MP3 download as well. Because I don't really have a record player, but there's lots of pictures. There's pictures in there and stuff of Joe and whatever. And I'll just take one of the discs out. The story is actually really good. It's set on a fairground, but the discs are kind of pretty, you know.
Oh wow! Look at that. Jeez.
Yeah. So on one of them is the short story itself.
Yeah, I would watch out with that because it's probably going to be worth money.
Yeah, well, it cost me $30 from the States, and I believe it's limited to 300. Yeah. And I got it delivered from Amazon.com, and it cost me a fortune. And then they messed up with the delivery, and because they messed up with the delivery, they
didn't charge you.
They didn't charge me for delivery, and they sent it premium, so I got it next day from America.
Nice.
So I think it came from like Kentucky or something ridiculous.
Huh.
And it was here the next day at like 5 o'clock in the evening. So unbelievable. Yeah, Dark Carousel, very, very good story.
Nice.
And so I got that too. And that's about it really. I'd love to have showed you Wraith. Which is the comic book of NOS4A2 because it's kind of relevant, but it's probably in a box somewhere and I can't find it. Mm-hmm. This has been a bit of a useful exercise actually because it's made me get all my Joe Hill books together in one place because I literally had to go in the attic and get them out of different boxes. So I've just got box loads of I've got so many Stephen King books, it's unbelievable. and they're all just boxed up. And these were amongst them. So,
Wow.
so
Nice.
yeah, he's a really nice guy as well, and really approachable, and you can have a laugh and a joke with him. And I felt really comfortable and not really phased by who he was. Yeah, it's really interesting. Cool.
Are you a big fan of Joe Hill, like Gary is? Let us know what you think. Let us know what you think of NOS4A2. This is a little bit long of an episode, but it's because Gary has all these things.
But we will see you next
time. See you next time. Oh, jeez, Gary. Okay, wait. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's all with Marchese and Buller. It's all with Marchese and Buller.
Yeah.
Stephen King. I don't know if you've heard of Stephen King. People know him, you know, sort of. But he, my co-host William Jason Marchese.
My name changed.
Again, I make it up every time. Welcome to the podcast with
No podcast.
Buller and Marchese, or Marchese and Buller. It doesn't really matter, I suppose. So I'm Gary Buller, and this is my co-host William Charles Marchese.
Charles Hanks Marchese.
Charles Hanks Marchese. And we, in the previous episode, we talked about NOS4A2, new TV series, which I'm stoked to see. I can't wait.
Wait, what should we do for the thing? Wait.
You down.
Wait.
You think I do?
All right. See Gary looking at his wife, right?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
I just looked up at the clock.
Oh,
It's,
okay, okay.
It's 10:30 here.
Yeah, I know. I gotta go out and do the thing. Let's go to part 2. Oh, you fucking Gary! Wait. Okay, let's go. Oh. Let's go to. Wait, let me try to do this right. Let's go.
What's the...
I'm trying to do this.
Go.
Let's go to part 2, Gary.
Oh, very nice.
Okay. No!
I'm kind of thinking, maybe we do this as a two-parter. I don't know. We talk about NOS4A2, then we go into. I've got a few little things we could talk over, like Joe Hill sort of collectibles and stuff. I don't know if you want to do that. What do you think?
No.
Fair enough.
Wow, look at that, huh? George
So-
R. R. Martin. He's the one that did Game of Thrones, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And this is the